David, my ex-boyfriend, looking for a gateman job.
Wash the car very well or you lose your job.
David, is that you? Am I dreaming?
David Okonkwo walked through the upscale streets of Banana Island, Lagos, wearing simple jeans and a plain shirt, blending in with the crowds. At 35 years old, he carried himself with quiet dignity, the kind that came from years of hard work and success. But today, he wasn't dressed like the billionaire he was. Today, he was just another man looking for work. For the past 6 months, David had been living undercover, not because he was running from anything, but because he was running towards something: genuine love. As the owner and chairman of Okonkwo Industries, a 50 billion Nigerian naira conglomerate, David had learned a painful lesson. Money attracted the wrong kind of attention: gold diggers, social climbers, people who loved his wealth but couldn't care less about who he was underneath. So he'd made a radical decision. He'd step away from the spotlight, live as an ordinary man, and see if he could find someone who'd love David the person, not David the billionaire. He'd worked as a cleaner, a security guard, a driver. Each job had taught him something about human nature, how people treated those they perceived as beneath them, and each job had reinforced his determination to find someone genuine. This would be his last undercover position before he revealed himself and returned to public life. He just needed to find her, the woman who could see his worth without knowing his wealth. As he walked past a luxurious mansion, something caught his eye. A sign on the gate: Gateman needed. Apply within. David paused. This was perfect. A gateman position at a mansion in Banana Island, the wealthiest neighborhood in Lagos. He'd meet interesting people, observe how the rich treated their staff, and maybe, just maybe, find what he was looking for. He opened the gate and walked up the pristine driveway toward the mansion's entrance, his mind drifting to memories he'd buried for 10 years. 10 years ago, University of Lagos. David, I can't do this anymore. Jessica sat across from him in a cheap restaurant, the best he could afford on his part-time salary. She wore a new designer dress, a gift from someone else, though he tried not to think about that. Jessica, I love you. I'm building something. Just give me time. Time? She laughed bitterly. I'm 22, David. I'm not waiting for your someday. Look at you, working 3 jobs just to take me Mr. Biggs. My friends' boyfriends take them to Eco Hotel, to Ocean Basket, to places that matter. I'm studying business. I'm going to... You're going to what? Be successful someday? I want the good life now, David. Not in 5 years. Not in 10 years. Now. She stood up, her eyes cold. I deserve better than this. I deserve better than you. She'd walked out, and David had sat there, heartbroken, but more determined than ever. I'll show her, he thought. I'll show everyone. And he had. Present day. David shook off the memory as he reached the mansion's front door. That was 10 years ago. He'd long since moved past Jessica's rejection. He'd built an empire, prove himself to everyone who doubted him. But he'd never forgotten the lesson. Never judge a person by their current circumstances. Judge them by their character. He knocked. A maid opened the door, looking him up and down. Yes. Good afternoon. I'm here about the gateman position. Oh. Yes, wait here. She gestured to the luxurious living room. Madam will interview you. David sat on the edge of an expensive leather couch, taking in his surroundings. Marble floors, crystal chandelier, original artwork on the walls. Whoever lived here had serious money. He heard voices approaching. Darling, I'll handle the gateman interview. A woman's voice said. You go get ready for your meeting. Are you sure? I'm sure. I'll pick the perfect one. Footsteps. The living room door opened, and David's world stopped. Jessica, 10 years older, dressed in an expensive designer outfit that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Gold jewelry, perfect makeup, the picture of Lagos elite. Their eyes met. For 3 seconds, neither spoke. Then Jessica's face transformed. Shock, recognition, disbelief, and then cruel, delighted joy. David, she burst into laughter. David Okonkwo. Oh my God. David stood, maintaining his composure. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm here about the vacancy. Vacancy. Jessica laughed harder, actually bending over with mirth. You're here to apply for Gateman job. At MY House. She called out, Michael, come see this. You have to see this. A man entered, tall, well-dressed, kind-looking, maybe 38. He looked between them with confusion. Jessica, what's going on? Michael, darling. Jessica could barely contain her glee. This is David, my ex-boyfriend from university. The one I told you about. The one with no ambition. She turned back to David, eyes gleaming. I was right to leave you. Look at you, 35 and applying to be a gateman. While she gestured around the mansion, married to so, my husband runs an entire company. Michael looked uncomfortable. Jessica, please. Let's just conduct the interview professionally. Professionally? Jessica grinned. Oh, we're definitely hiring him. Right now. What? Michael frowned. Shouldn't we interview other candidates? Check references. No. Jessica's eyes were alight with malicious joy. I want him. This is absolutely perfect. She turned to David. You're hired. You start today. Right now. David knew he should walk away. He had 50 billion Nigerian nairas in the bank. He owned an empire. He didn't need this. But something stopped him. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the opportunity to teach Jessica a lesson she'd never forget. Maybe it was the way Michael looked at him. Apologetic, kind, clearly uncomfortable with his wife's cruelty. Thank you, ma'am, David said calmly. I accept. Jessica clapped her hands. Wonderful. The uniform is in the back. Put it on. Your new life awaits. As David followed the maid to get the uniform, he heard Michael say, quietly, Jessica, this is cruel. He's a human being. He's my EX who went nowhere in life. Jessica shot back. And I'm going to enjoy every moment of this. 20 minutes later, David stood at the gate in a simple gray security uniform. The same man who'd addressed boardrooms in Italy, closed deals in Dubai, and been profiled in Forbes Africa, now dressed as a gateman. He'd barely been there 5 minutes when Jessica emerged from the house on her phone. Speaker on, deliberately loud. Girl, you won't believe what just happened. Remember I told you about my ex-boyfriend from university? The broke one with no future? Guess who just applied to be my gateman? Shrieks of laughter from the phone. Shut up. Are you serious? Dead serious. He's at my gate right now. I hired him on the spot. Jessica walked right up to David. Phone still on speaker. Say hi to my friends, David. David nodded politely. Good afternoon. More laughter from the phone. Jessica, take a photo. Instagram needs to see this. Oh, I will. Jessica pulled out her phone, snapped a picture of David in his uniform. This is going to be legendary. She was typing before he could respond. Remember him? My ex from uni. Now MY Gateman. Hashtag upgrade my life. Hashtag best decision ever. Hashtag thank God I left him. Within minutes. His photo was all over her Instagram. 500,000 followers, seeing him in a security uniform. Perfect. Jessica laughed. Now, David, your first task. My car needs washing. And I have 20 shopping bags in the trunk. Bring them in. For the next hour, David washed her Range Rover while Jessica and 3 of her friends sat in lawn chairs, drinking champagne and watching. Can you imagine if I'd married him? Jessica said loudly, I'd be a gateman's wife. All 4 women dissolved into laughter. Jessica, you dodged a bullet. More like dodge a bomb. David finished washing the car, then carried 20 designer shopping bags into the house. Each bag probably cost more than a month's salary for a real gateman. Careful, Jessica called out. Those bags cost more than your yearly salary. When he finished, Jessica threw 50 Nigerian nairas at his feet. For your lunch. That's more than you're worth. David picked up the money calmly, said nothing. See. Jessica told her friends. He doesn't even fight back. Pathetic. That evening, Michael returned from work. He saw Jessica and her friends still mocking David at the gate. "Jessica," Michael's voice was sharp. "What are you doing?" "Having fun with the staff. Darling." Jessica smiled innocently. "That's not fun. That's cruelty." Michael turned to David. "I apologize for my wife's behavior." "Apologize?" Jessica's voice rose. "To a gateman. Are you serious? He's a human being who deserves respect. He's my ex-boyfriend who became a nobody." Jessica's eyes filled with manipulative tears. "And you're taking his side over your wife." "I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying, you're saying you'd rather have him than me." Jessica sobbed dramatically. "Maybe I should just leave." Michael sighed, exhausted. "Fine. Just be professional." He walked inside, looking back once at David with an apologetic expression. David nodded. No hard feelings. He understood. Michael was a good man trapped by a manipulative woman. That night, standing alone at the gate, David made a phone call. "Yes, it's me," he said quietly. "The undercover mission continues. But there's been an interesting development. I found my ex-girlfriend here." His assistant's voice came through. "Sir, do you want me to?" "No. Continue as planned. Prepare everything for the annual gala in 2 weeks. And make sure Michael Williams knows nothing about my identity." "Not yet." "Yes, sir." David hung up, looking at the mansion. Through the window, he could see Jessica on the phone, laughing. He could hear her voice carrying through the evening air. "I'm telling you, this is the best decision ever. Having my broke ex as my gateman. And wait till you hear my ultimate plan. The company's annual gala is in 2 weeks. I'm going to invite him. Let all of Lagos high society see my ex-boyfriend, the gateman. It'll be legendary." David smiled to himself. The Okonkwo Industries annual gala. His company. His event. "Oh, Jessica," he murmured. "You have absolutely no idea what you've just done." Through the gate bars, he could see the company banner being delivered. Okonkwo Industries' 25th anniversary gala. Jessica wouldn't notice the name match. She'd never asked his last name in university. She'd only ever called him David. In 2 weeks, she'd learn the truth, and it would destroy her. She hired him on day one to mock him. She posted his photo on Instagram, made him wash her car while her friends laughed, threw 50 Nigerian nairas at his feet. And now she's planning to invite him to a gala to humiliate him in front of all of Lagos high society. But she has no idea who he really is. The gateman owns the company. Smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion because next chapter shows the CEO trying to defend David and the wife doing something unthinkable. Comment below, how should David reveal his identity? Turn on those notifications because this gets explosive. Over the next week, Jessica's mockery became a daily routine. Every morning, she'd come to the gate with new humiliations, making David stand for hours without sitting, calling her friends to come see my ex-boyfriend, the gateman, like he was a zoo animal, having him run errands across Lagos for trivial things, buy credit card, get her favorite snack from a shop 20 kilometers away, all while paying him in coins. "Keep the change," she'd say, throwing 50 Nigerian nairas or 100 Nigerian nairas at his feet. "You're welcome." But David never complained, never showed anger, never gave her the satisfaction of breaking his dignity. What Jessica didn't know was that every night, David returned to his private penthouse in Victoria Island. He'd shower off the day's humiliations, put on his 2 million Nigerian nairas Brioni suits, and handle his business empire from his laptop, approving deals, managing investments, preparing for the upcoming gala. His company's board had no idea he was working as a gateman. His assistant knew, but was sworn to secrecy. Michael Williams, the CEO of Okonkwo Industries, had been hired by the board 2 years ago while David was traveling. Michael was excellent at his job, smart, ethical, hardworking. David had watched him from afar and been impressed. Michael had no idea that the quiet gateman at his house was actually his boss, and David intended to keep it that way. For now, one Wednesday evening, Michael came home early from the office. He'd had a particularly stressful day, A major deal had fallen through, and he was exhausted. He found Jessica at the gate with her friends, making David carry dozens of shopping bags while they filmed him on their phones, laughing. Jessica. Michael's voice cut through their laughter. Enough. Jessica turned, annoyed. What? Stop tormenting the man. It's cruel. He's just a gateman. He's a human being. Michael rarely raised his voice, but when he did, people listened. I'm sick of this. Every single day, I come home to you mocking this man. It's disgusting. Jessica's friends quickly made excuses and left. Jessica's face hardened. How dare you embarrass me in front of my friends? How dare you embarrass yourself with this behavior? Michael shot back. What's wrong with you? They argued all the way into the house, leaving David alone at the gate. 30 minutes later, Michael emerged. Alone, he looked tired, defeated. He walked to the gate, carrying 2 glasses of red wine. David, right? Michael said quietly. David nodded. Yes, sir. I'm sorry about my wife. I'm sorry about everything. Michael held out one of the wine glasses. Come, have a drink with me, please. David hesitated. Sir, I'm just a gateman. I don't care what your job is. You're a person. You deserve respect. Please. There was something in Michael's voice, a plea, almost like he desperately needed someone to talk to. David took the glass. They sat at the garden table together, 2 men under the evening Lego sky. For a while, they drank in silence. Then Michael spoke. You seem educated, intelligent. How did you end up as a gateman? David chose his words carefully. Life takes us on unexpected paths, sir. Sometimes we need to be in humble positions to learn important lessons. Like what? Like who people really are when they think you have nothing. Michael was quiet for a long moment. Then, my wife said you're her ex-boyfriend from university. Is that true? Yes, sir. Then I owe you a double apology. She's treating you this way because of your past relationship. That's even worse. David studied Michael. The man seemed genuinely distressed by his wife's cruelty. You're a good man, sir. Michael laughed bitterly. Am I? A good man would stop his wife from being cruel. But I can't. Every time I try, she cries, threatens to leave, plays the victim, makes me feel like I'm the one in the wrong. You have children, David said quietly. It wasn't a question. 2, 8 and 6, boy and girl. Michael's voice softened. I stay for them. I keep the peace for them. Because if I push too hard, if I fight too much, Jessica threatens divorce. And I can't lose my kids. David understood completely. You're choosing peace over righteousness to protect your family. Is that what it is? Michael looked at him. Or am I just a coward? You're not a coward, sir. You're a father making impossible choices. They drank together. 2 men bonded by circumstance, neither knowing the full truth about the other. The peace lasted exactly 10 minutes. Jessica stormed out of the house, saw them sitting together, and her face turned purple with rage. What is this? She screamed. Michael, you're drinking with a gateman. In our garden, at our table, Michael stood calmly. Jessica, I'm having a conversation. A conversation. He's a servant. He should be at the gate, not drinking M.Y. expensive wine. It's my wine, too. I bought it, and I can share it with whoever I want. Oh, so now you're defending him? Jessica's voice rose to a shriek. You're choosing a gateman over your wife? I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. I'm just being a decent human being. Decent? Jessica grabbed her wine glass. I'll show you decent. And before anyone could stop her, she walked up to David and poured her glass of red wine over his head. The wine cascaded down David's face, soaking his hair, his uniform, dripping onto the ground. For a moment, everything froze. Then Michael exploded. Jessica, what is wrong with you? David stood slowly, wine still dripping from his face. He looked at Jessica with calm, steady eyes. No anger, no hatred, just quiet dignity. I think I should go back to my post, sir, David said to Michael. Thank you for the conversation. David, wait. Michael tried to stop him. But Jessica was already crying, manipulative tears streaming down her face. "You see," she sobbed, "you're more worried about him than me. Your own wife. I've been violated, disrespected, and you're worried about the gateman." You just poured wine on his head. "Because he's trying to come between us. Can't you see it? He's my ex. He's jealous of what I have. He's trying to seduce my husband away from me. That's insane. It's him or me, Michael. Choose. Your gateman or your wife. Your employee or the mother of your children." Michael looked at David, standing there dripping with wine, still maintaining his dignity. Looked at his wife, crying manipulative tears. Thought about his children sleeping upstairs, and made the only choice a trapped man could make. "David," he said quietly, voice thick with shame, "please go back to the gate." "I understand, sir." David wiped wine from his face. "Good night." As David walked away, he heard Michael say, "Jessica, this has to stop. I mean it." And Jessica's reply, "Then fire him. Send him away. Or admit you care more about him than your own family." David walked back to his post, wine soaking his uniform. He pulled out his phone. A new message had just come in from his assistant. "Sir, surveillance cameras captured Mrs. Williams leaving the house last night at 11 p.m. She went to Eco Hotel, room 507, met with a man identified as Richard Obie, your business competitor. They were together until 3 a.m., full photographic and video evidence attached. What do you want us to do?" David looked at the photos. Jessica kissing another man, entering a hotel room, the timestamps, everything documented. He texted back, "Continue surveillance. Document everything. Don't confront yet. I'll handle this at the appropriate time." Then he called a security team. "I need you to investigate Richard Obie. Everything. His business dealings. His relationship with Mrs. Williams. Everything." "Yes, sir." David hung up and looked at the mansion. Through the window, he could see Michael and Jessica still arguing. Poor Michael. Not only was his wife cruel, she was also unfaithful. David would tell him eventually. But not yet. First, the gala. The next morning, despite everything, Michael came to the gate again. "David, I'm sorry," he said quietly. "About last night, my wife was out of line." "I understand, sir." "No, you don't." Michael's face was pained. "I'm ashamed. I should have defended you. But You have a family to protect," David said gently. "I don't blame you." Michael looked at him with something like gratitude. "You're remarkable. Most people would have quit by now." "If only you knew," David thought. "If only you knew I could buy this entire neighborhood with pocket change." But he just smiled and said, "I need the job, sir." Michael nodded, then hesitated. "The company Gala is this Saturday. I'm required to attend. Jessica is excited about it." He paused. "She's planning something. Something involving you. I don't know what, but be prepared. Thank you for the warning, sir." After Michael left, David made another call. "Prepare my suit. The Brioni, the diamond cufflinks, the Patek Philippe watch. Everything. This Saturday, I reveal myself." "Yes, sir. How do you want to handle the entrance?" "I want it dramatic. I want Lagos to know exactly who I am. And I want Jessica to see everything she lost." He hung up and smiled. Jessica thought she was about to humiliate him in front of Lagos high society. She had no idea she was about to be destroyed. She poured wine on his head. The CEO tried to defend him, but had to choose his wife to keep the peace. Michael feels trapped, but what Michael doesn't know is his wife is cheating with his business rival. David has all the evidence, and the gala is this Saturday. Jessica thinks she's going to embarrass David in front of everyone, but he owns the company. Smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion because next chapter is a gala, and David's entrance is legendary. Comment, should David expose the affair? Turn on notifications because the next chapter is explosive. Saturday evening, Eco Hotel Grand Ballroom. The Okonkwo Industries' 25th anniversary gala was a social event of the season. Every elite person in Lagos had fought for an invitation. Politicians, business moguls, celebrities, socialites. The ballroom glittered with 500 million Nigerian nairas worth of jewelry, designer clothes, and champagne. A massive banner hung at the entrance. Okonkwo Industries' 25th anniversary gala. Jessica arrived in a gold dress that cost 5 million Nigerian nairas. Diamonds dripped from her ears and neck. She looked like Lagos royalty. Michael walked beside her in an expensive tuxedo, looking uncomfortable. This is going to be perfect. Jessica gushed to her friends as they entered. Everyone who matters is here. Where's your Gateman ex-boyfriend? One friend asked, giggling. Oh, he's coming. Jessica checked her phone. I sent him the invitation with specific instructions. Dress your best. As if he owns anything decent. She laughed. This is going to be the entertainment of the night. Michael frowned. Jessica, why are you doing this? What's the point? The point is showing everyone that I made the right choice. I left a loser and married a CEO. I want everyone to see the difference. You're humiliating him for no reason. He humiliated himself by becoming a gateman. Jessica snapped. Then she softened her tone. Darling, stop being so serious. Tonight is about celebrating your company's success. Enjoy it. Michael sighed. He'd tried. The event was in full swing. Orchestra playing. Champagne flowing. Lagos's elite networking, laughing, taking photos. Jessica held court with her friends, constantly checking her phone. Where is he? She wondered aloud. The gateman should be here by now. Maybe he chickened out. No way. I told him it was mandatory. Jessica grinned. Besides, I want him to see all of this. She gestured at the ballroom's opulence. I want him to see what he missed when I left him. At 8 p.m., the event coordinator took the stage. An elegant woman in a stunning gown. Ladies and gentlemen, she said into microphone, thank you for attending Okonkwo Industries' 25th anniversary gala. Applause. For 25 years, this company has been a pillar of Nigerian business. But many of you don't know the full story. You see, our founder and chairman has remained anonymous for most of the company's existence. He built this empire from nothing, preferring to work behind the scenes rather than seek the spotlight. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Even Michael looked surprised. He'd never met the chairman, only dealt with the board of directors. But tonight, the coordinator continued, for the first time in 25 years, our chairman has agreed to reveal himself publicly. The room erupted in excited chatter. Jessica frowned, confused. What's this about? I have no idea, Michael admitted. I've never met the chairman. The board always said he valued privacy. Ladies and gentlemen, the coordinator said, please join me in welcoming the founder, owner, and chairman of Okonkwo Industries, MR, David Okonkwo. The ballroom doors opened. Spotlight hit the entrance, and David walked in. But this wasn't the gateman. This wasn't the man in the cheap uniform who'd washed Jessica's car. This was David Okonkwo, billionaire businessman. He wore a custom 2 million Nigerian nairas Brioni suit in midnight black, tailored to perfection. Diamond cufflinks caught the light, Nigerian naira 5 million worth. His Patek Philippe watch, Nigerian naira 10 million, glinted on his wrist. Italian leather shoes. Hair perfectly styled. Groomed beard, walking with the confidence of a man who owned the world. 6 bodyguards flanked him in formation. The orchestra swelled into triumphant music, and everyone in the ballroom stood up and applauded. All hailed the chairman. Jessica's champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the marble floor. Her face drained of all color. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. No, she whispered. No, no, and oh. Her friend grabbed her arm. Jessica, that's... the gateman. Jessica's voice was a choked scream. That's the gateman. That's the chairman, another friend corrected, staring in awe. That's the owner, the billionaire. Michael stood frozen, his face a mass of shock. That's David, the gateman. He's my boss. The realization hit him like a truck. The man he'd apologized to. The man his wife had mocked, humiliated, tortured for weeks. The man who'd had wine poured on his head was the owner of the company. was worth 50 billion Nigerian nairas, was technically Michael's employer. "Oh my God," Michael breathed. "Oh my God, Jessica, what have you done?" But Jessica couldn't hear him. She was hyperventilating, grabbing the table for support, watching in horror as David walked to the crowd like a king. Everyone wanted to shake his hand, take photos, network. Businessmen were practically falling over themselves to greet him. "Mr. Okonkwo, it's an honor. Sir, I've admired your work for years. Can we schedule a meeting?" David was gracious with everyone, smiling, humble despite his obvious power, taking time to speak with each person who approached him. And then he reached Jessica's table. Their eyes met. Jessica looked like she might faint. David smiled warmly. "Good evening, Mrs. Williams. Thank you for coming to my gala." Jessica couldn't speak, just made a small choking sound. Michael stepped forward, stammering, "Sir, Mr. Okonkwo, I had no idea. I am so sorry. My wife, she didn't know. We didn't know who you were." David's expression softened. "Michael, you have absolutely nothing to apologize for. You've been an excellent CEO. You've grown this company 30% in 2 years. I'm very pleased with your work. But my wife, she treated me poorly." "Yes." David glanced at Jessica, who looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "But you didn't. You tried to stop her. You apologized. You treated me with dignity, even when you thought I was just a gateman." He clapped Michael on the shoulder. "That says everything about your character. Your job is secure. In fact, I'm giving you a raise." Michael looked like he might cry with relief. "Sir, thank you. Thank you so much." David leaned in and whispered, "We need to talk later, privately, about something important concerning your wife." Michael's face darkened with understanding. Then David turned to Jessica. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face, makeup running. "Mrs. Williams," David said pleasantly, "I hope you're enjoying the event. After all, you've been looking forward to it so much." He paused. "By the way, how's Richard?" Jessica's face went completely white. Her friends gasped. Michael's head snapped toward his wife. What did he just say? But David had already moved on, walking toward the stage to give his speech. The crowd parted for him like the Red Sea. Jessica grabbed Michael's arm desperately. "Michael, I can explain." "Not here," Michael hissed, his face like stone. "We'll discuss this later." On stage, David took the microphone. The ballroom fell silent. "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for celebrating with us tonight. 25 years ago, I started Okonkwo Industries with nothing but a dream and determination. I was told I had no ambition. I was told I would never amount to anything. I was judged by my circumstances rather than my potential. But I learned something important. Your current position doesn't define your worth. Your character does. For the past 6 months, I've been working undercover in various humble positions. I've been a cleaner, a security guard, a driver, and most recently a gateman. Gasps rippled through the crowd. People looked around, confused. Why would a billionaire work as a gateman? David continued, because I wanted to remember where I came from. I wanted to stay humble. And I wanted to see who treats people with respect regardless of their position. He looked directly at Jessica. I learned a lot about character, about cruelty, about who people really are when they think you have nothing. Some people, he gestured toward Michael, showed kindness and apologized for others' cruelty even when they had no obligation to do so. Others, he didn't need to gesture. Everyone knew who he meant. Others showed that money and status mean nothing if you lack basic human decency. Thank you all for coming tonight. Enjoy the gala. The applause was deafening. But Jessica didn't hear it. She was running toward the bathroom, sobbing, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. Her friends watched her go, then immediately abandoned her to network with David. "Mr. Okonkwo, can I get a photo?" "Sir, about that business proposal." Jessica was alone. Completely, utterly alone. In the bathroom, Jessica's friends found her crying, makeup completely ruined. "Jessica, you need to fix this," one friend hissed. "How?" Jessica sobbed. He's the owner. I've been mocking the owner for weeks. You need to apologize. Publicly. He knows about Richard. He knows. My marriage is over. Then you better hope your husband's job survives, another friend said coldly. Because if Mr. Okonkwo fires Michael because of you, you'll have nothing. Jessica realized the truth. Her husband's career, her lifestyle, her social position. Everything depended on David's mercy, and she'd shown him none. Meanwhile, Michael found David in a private room. Sir, Michael said heavily, about what you said, about my wife and Richard. David pulled out his phone, showed Michael the photos. Jessica and Richard entering the hotel, kissing in the lobby, going to the room together. Timestamps, dates, everything documented. Michael stared at the phone, his face crumbling. How long? 6 months. Since before I started working as your gateman. She's been cheating on me for 6 months. Michael's voice was hollow, with Richard Obi, my business rival. I'm sorry, Michael. I know this hurts. She's been feeding him information, hasn't she? Company secrets. We've been monitoring it. Nothing too damaging, but yes, pillow talk about upcoming deals. Michael sat down heavily. My children. My God, my children. I'm sorry, David said quietly. You deserve to know. What you do with this information is up to you. Michael looked up at David with red-rimmed eyes. Why didn't you fire me? My wife has been torturing you for weeks. Because you're not responsible for your wife's actions. You're a good man, Michael. You tried to stop her. You apologized. You treated me with dignity. That's who you are, not her. Michael's shoulders shook. The strong, successful CO, breaking down. I wanted to help you, he whispered. At the gate, when she poured wine on your head. I wanted to defend you, but she threatened to leave, to take my kids. And you chose your family. I understand. I don't blame you, but I blame myself. Michael wiped his eyes. I'm filing for divorce. I support whatever decision you make. Michael stood, squared his shoulders. I need to go find my wife. We need to have a conversation. Take the time you need. You have my full support. As Michael left, David's assistant entered. Sir, it's all over social media. The photos from the gala. Jessica's Instagram posts mocking you are going viral, but now everyone knows the truth. She's being destroyed online. David looked at his phone. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Hashtag Gateman is owner. Hashtag Jessica Williams exposed. Hashtag karma. Videos of Jessica from the gala, frozen in shock. Memes. Comments. This is what happens when you're cruel. She judged him by his uniform. Big mistake. Never judge people by their position. Her followers were dropping by the thousands. Sponsors were pulling out of her boutique. Lego Society was dragging her through the mud. David felt no joy in it, just sadness that it had come to this. Sir, his assistant asked, what do you want to do about Mrs. Williams? David thought about it, about the wine poured on his head, the mockery, the humiliation. Nothing, he said finally. She's already destroyed herself. Karma doesn't need my help. The gateman is the owner. Jessica is destroyed, humiliated in front of everyone. The affair with Richard is exposed. Social media is dragging her. Her followers are dropping. Her sponsors are leaving. Michael is filing for divorce. Jessica has lost everything. Smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion, because next chapter shows the divorce proceedings and Jessica begging for mercy. Comment. Does she deserve any sympathy? Turn on notifications. The ride home from the gala was silent. Michael drove. Jessica sat in the passenger seat, makeup smeared, gold dress wrinkled, shaking like a leaf. The children were at her mother's house for the night. Thank God for small mercies. When they pulled into the driveway, Michael finally spoke. Inside. Now. They walked into the house David had stood guard outside of for weeks, and Michael turned to face his wife. How long, Jessica? Jessica tried to lie. Michael, I don't know what that man was talking about. Michael pulled out his phone, showed her the photos David had sent him. Jessica and Richard. The hotel. The timestamps. How long? Jessica crumpled. 6 months. Michael's face twisted in pain. 6 months. 6 months you've been cheating on me. With Richard, with my competitor. It didn't mean anything. It was just what? Just sex? Just betraying your husband and your family? Just feeding company secrets to my rival? I never gave him secrets. You talked to him about my work, about upcoming deals. Don't lie to me anymore. Jessica started crying. Michael, please. You humiliated me, Michael said quietly, and somehow that was worse than the yelling. For weeks, I watched you torture a man I thought was just our Gateman. I tried to stop you. I tried to make you be kind. And the whole time, you were cheating on me, laughing at me, making me look like a fool. I wasn't laughing at you. That man was my boss, Jessica, the owner of the company that employs me, the man who pays our bills, funds your shopping sprees, maintains this lifestyle. And you poured wine on his head. The reality of what she'd done seemed to finally penetrate Jessica's skull. Michael, I'm sorry. I didn't know. That's not an excuse. Even if he was just a gateman, your behavior was disgusting. But the fact that he turned out to be a billionaire just makes it worse, because now everyone knows what kind of person you really are. He pulled out his phone, showed her the social media firestorm. Jessica's hands flew to her mouth as she scrolled through comment after comment. Jessica Williams is canceled. This woman is pure evil. Karma came for her hard. I'm boycotting her boutique. Her follower count had dropped from 500,000 to 47,000 and was still falling. Companies were tagging her in posts. We no longer wish to be associated with Jessica Williams. All partnerships terminated. Her boutique's Instagram was flooded with angry comments. How can you be cruel to people and expect us to support you? I'm sorry, Jessica sobbed. I'm so sorry. I'll fix it. I'll apologize to David. I'll make it right. You can't fix this. Michael shouted. You destroyed your own reputation. You destroyed my dignity. And you destroyed our marriage. Please, Michael, please, think about the children. I am thinking about the children, which is why I'm not going to raise them in a home where their mother is cruel, unfaithful, and manipulative. He took a deep breath. I'm filing for divorce. Jessica's legs gave out. She collapsed onto the couch. No, Michael, please. I should have done this years ago. I stayed because I want to keep the family together. But there's no family to keep together. Not anymore. I'll change. I'll be better. I'll end things with Richard. You'll end things with Richard? Michael laughed bitterly. Jessica, I already spoke to him. He wants nothing to do with you. He said, and I quote, she was just fun. I'm not leaving my wife for her. Jessica's face crumbled. He said that? He used you. And you destroyed our family for a man who doesn't even want you. Michael shook his head. My lawyer will contact you Monday. We have a prenuptial agreement. Remember? The one you signed without reading because you were so excited to marry a CEO. Jessica's eyes widened. The prenup? Infidelity voids it. You get nothing. Not the house. Not the cars. Not alimony. Nothing. But I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem anymore. You have 2 weeks to move out. He headed toward the stairs. I'm going to pack a bag. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. Tomorrow, I'll tell the children that Daddy and Mommy are separating. And I'll make sure they understand it's not their fault. Michael, please. But he was already gone. Jessica sat alone in the mansion, surrounded by luxury that was about to be taken away, and realized what she'd lost. Over the next week, Jessica's life collapsed like a house of cards. Day 1, Michael filed for divorce. Infidelity. Emotional abuse. The paperwork cited the affair with Richard and attached photographic evidence. Day 2, Jessica's boutique lost 80% of its business. Customers boycotted. Suppliers dropped her. Day 3, her friends, every single one who'd laugh with her at David's expense, distanced themselves. Text messages went unanswered. Calls went to voicemail. When she showed up at their houses, they made excuses. Sorry, Jessica, I'm busy. I don't think we should be seen together right now. My husband doesn't want me associating with you anymore. Day 4. Her Instagram was hacked and deleted. 500,000 followers gone. Her entire platform destroyed. Day 5. She tried to apologize to David. She went to Okonkwo Industries headquarters, asked to see him. His assistant was polite but firm. Mr. Okonkwo is not available. He has no desire to speak with you. Day 6, the custody hearing. Jessica's lawyer tried to argue for joint custody. Michael's lawyer brought evidence. The affair, the cruelty toward employees. Character witnesses who testified about her behavior. The judge ruled, full custody to Mr. Williams. Mrs. Williams will have supervised visitation once per month. Once a month? Jessica screamed in the courtroom. Those are my children. The judge was unmoved. You should have thought about your children before engaging in adultery and displaying cruel behavior. Visitation is contingent on your good behavior. Court dismissed. Day 7. Jessica's boutique officially closed. She couldn't afford the rent. Couldn't afford the inventory. Everything was sold off to pay debts. By the end of the week, Jessica was broke, alone and broken. She moved into a small one-bedroom apartment in Surrey, a far cry from Banana Island. No designer clothes, no jewelry, no Range Rover. She got a job as a salesgirl in a mid-range boutique for 50,000 Nigerian nairas per month, the same amount she used to throw at David's feet as lunch money. 1 month after the gala, Michael came to see David at Okonkwo Industries headquarters. David's office was on the 40th floor with panoramic views of Lagos. Luxury beyond imagination. Sir, Michael said, I want to thank you personally for everything, for not firing me despite my wife's behavior, for supporting me through the divorce, for showing me what real character looks like. You don't need to thank me, Michael. You're an excellent CEO. I'm lucky to have you. I wanted you to know the divorce is final. I have full custody. The kids are adjusting. It's hard, but they're resilient. I'm glad to hear it. And I wanted to apologize for not defending you more strongly. I should have. David raised a hand. Michael, stop. You were in an impossible situation. You did what you could. I don't blame you. I never did. Michael's eyes grew wet. You're a better man than I am. No, I'm just a man who's learned that everyone fights battles we don't see. You were fighting for your family. I understand that. They shook hands. Two good men who'd found respect for each other in the strangest of circumstances. 3 months after the gala, David saw Jessica for the first time since that night. He was visiting an orphanage he sponsored, donating 10 million Nigerian nairas annually to help children in need. And there, playing with the children, was Jessica. She looked completely different. No makeup, simple clothes, hair in a plain ponytail. She'd lost weight, lost the arrogance, lost the cruelty in her eyes. She looked humble. When she saw David, she froze. David, hi. Jessica, he nodded politely. I volunteer here every weekend. It helps me remember what's important. She gestured at the children playing around her. These kids have nothing, but they're happy. I had everything and was miserable because I was horrible. How long have you been volunteering? 2 months. I don't post it on social media. I don't do it for attention. I do it because I'm trying to become a better person, even if it's too late. David studied her. She seemed genuine. Broken, but genuine. It's never too late to change, he said quietly. They sat on a bench while children played nearby. David, Jessica said, I owe you a real apology. Not the crying, manipulative kind. A real one. I'm listening. In university, I judged you by your bank account instead of your character. I left you because you weren't rich. When I saw you as a gateman, I thought I'd been right. I thought you'd failed. So I mocked you, humiliated you, poured wine on your head. I was cruel. Tears, genuine ones, fell down her face. You didn't deserve that. You were always kind, ambitious, hard-working. You became exactly what you said you'd become, and I was too blind to see it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. David was quiet for a long moment. I forgive you, Jessica. She looked up, shocked. What? I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger hurts me more than it hurts you. You've clearly changed. I can see it. And I'm glad you found humility. I don't expect us to be friends, Jessica said quickly. I don't expect anything. I hope you find someone who treats you the way you deserve. David smiled. I think I already have. Divorced, broke, abandoned, lost her children, business collapsed, living in a one-bedroom apartment, working as a sales girl for 50,000 Nigerian nairas, the same amount she used to throw at David, but she's volunteering at orphanages. She's changing. She's becoming humble. And David forgave her. But here's the question. Is her redemption real? Can someone that cruel truly change? Smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion for the final chapter, showing David's happiness and Jessica's ultimate fate. Comment. Do you believe she's really changed? Turn on notifications for the conclusion. 2 years after the gala, David Okonkwo stood at the front of a beautiful church in Lekki, watching the woman he loved walk down the aisle toward him. Her name was Amara Okafor. She was 30 years old, a social worker, and the woman who'd stolen his heart without knowing he had a penny. They'd met at the orphanage, the same one where he'd encountered Jessica. Amara was a volunteer coordinator, dedicated to helping children in need. She'd been doing it for 5 years, long before David showed up. When they met, David had been in casual clothes, jeans and a t-shirt. No expensive watch. No design or anything. Just David. Amara had asked him to read to the children. He'd agreed. They'd spent the afternoon with kids, climbing all over them, laughing, playing. At the end of the day, Amara had smiled at him and said, "You're really good with them. You should come back." So he did, every Saturday for 3 months. They'd talked about life, dreams, failures, hopes, about the importance of helping others, about staying humble despite success. David had fallen in love with her kindness, her genuine care for others, the way she treated everyone, from the orphanage director to the janitor, with equal respect. And Amara had fallen in love with him, not David the billionaire, just David. When he finally revealed his identity, after 3 months of dating, she'd been shocked. "You're that David Okonkwo? The owner of Okonkwo Industries?" "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted you to know me first, not my money." She'd been quiet for a long moment. Then she'd kissed him and said, "I would have loved you either way, but I'm glad I met David the volunteer before David the billionaire, because now I know your heart." That's when he knew she was the one. Now, watching her walk down the aisle in a simple but elegant white dress, David felt complete. Michael stood beside him as best man. After the divorce, Michael had remained CEO and had started dating Grace, a kind teacher who adored him and his children. He looked happier than David had ever seen him. "Ready?" Michael whispered with a smile. "More than ready," David replied. Amara reached the altar, took his hands, and smiled at him with such pure love that David's eyes grew wet. The ceremony was beautiful, intimate, meaningful. When they were pronounced husband and wife, everyone cheered. At the reception, David gave a speech. 10 years ago, someone I loved told me I had no ambition. She left me because I wasn't rich. It hurt. It broke me for a while. But it also taught me something important. Real love isn't about what you have. It's about who you are. For months, I worked as a gateman trying to find someone who'd love me for me. And I found her. He looked at Amara. She loved me when she thought I was just a volunteer. She loved me for my character, not my bank account. That's how I knew she was real. That's how I knew she was the one. Thank you, Amara, for seeing me, for loving me, for choosing me. Everyone clapped. Some people were crying. Amara took the microphone. I didn't fall in love with a billionaire. I fell in love with a man who read stories to children, who treated everyone with respect, who cared more about helping others than showing off his wealth. That's the man I married. And I'd love him if he was a Gateman or a king. More applause. More tears. At a table in the corner, Jessica sat watching. She hadn't been invited to the wedding. Of course not. But she'd seen the photos on social media. David's wedding was all over Lagos news. She was in her small apartment in Surulere, laptop open, looking at pictures of the man she let go. Her roommate, a kind woman named Funmi who worked at the boutique with her, asked gently, "Do you regret it? Losing him?" Jessica was quiet for a long time. Then, every day, "But my biggest regret isn't losing him. It's who I was. I had a good man who loved me, and I threw him away because he wasn't rich yet. Then when I saw him as a gateman, I mocked him, tortured him, poured wine on his head." She wiped tears from her eyes. I learned something, too. You can't judge people by their position. You can't chase money and expect to find love. And you can't treat people cruelly and expect to be happy. "Do you think you'll find love again?" Funmi asked. Jessica smiled sadly. "Maybe, but first, I need to keep working on myself. I've been volunteering at the orphanage for 2 years now. I'm becoming someone better. Someone I can be proud of. That has to be enough for now." David's wedding day was perfect. As he and Amara drove away, in a simple, elegant car, not a flashy one, he felt at peace. Michael waved goodbye with Grace and his 2 children, all of them smiling. And somewhere in Lagos, Jessica closed her laptop and went to the orphanage to volunteer. 5 years later, David and Amara had 2 children, a boy and a girl. David was still running Okonkwo Industries, but now focused more on philanthropy. His foundation helped thousands of children across Nigeria. Michael had married Grace. His children called her mom. They were happy, peaceful, whole. And Jessica, she continued her journey of redemption. She never remarried, never chased wealth again. She worked at the boutique, volunteered at the orphanage, and slowly rebuilt relationships with her children as they got older and began to understand that people could change. She was never rich again, never famous again, never part of Lagos high society, but she was at peace. Finally, one day, 10 years after the gala, David was at the orphanage with his children when he saw Jessica. She was older now, 42, still humble, still volunteering. Their eyes met. She smiled, a genuine, peaceful smile, and waved. David waved back. No words needed. They both moved on. Both found their paths. Both learned their lessons. As David played with his children, he thought about the journey, from university heartbreak to billionaire success, from undercover gateman to public CEO, from mockery and humiliation to love and happiness. And he realized Jessica had taught him what he didn't want. Amara had shown him what he did. Sometimes you need the wrong person to help you recognize the right one. Sometimes you need to be broken to become whole. Sometimes karma comes for the cruel. And sometimes, if they're lucky, the cruel find redemption. The gateman became a king. The cruel woman became humble. And true love, real, genuine, character-based love, won in the end. Because it always does. From mocking a gateman to losing everything. From billionaire pretending to be humble to finding true love. From cruel wife to humble volunteer. This is the ultimate karma story. Jessica lost everything but found herself. David found real love with Amara, who loved him for his character. Michael found peace with Grace. Everyone got exactly what they deserved. If this story taught you something about respect, about not judging people by their position, about how karma never misses, smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion for more stories where the humble win and the arrogant learn. Share this with someone who needs this reminder. You never know who you're talking to, yo. That gateman might be the owner. That cleaner might be the CEO. Respect everyone regardless of their position. Comment your favorite moment from this story. And remember, true love sees character, not cash. Pride comes before fall. And karma always wins. Thank you for watching African Tales by Zion. Until next time, be humble, be kind, and treat everyone with respect. God bless. The end.